Blue 32! Blue 32! Set! Ha!
Hello, welcome to the Great Matters Weekly Football Wrap-Up and Preview Show. As always, we will discuss what caught our attention from the week that was and forecast each matchup, players to watch, and our lock bets for the upcoming week, which will be Week 11. As always, please note that none of our comments regarding gambling are to be considered advice for you to follow. And if you have a gambling problem, please seek help. However, we are not the place for you to get it. With that, looks like the bookie has decided he has come for Paul's camera.
Paul done made too many bad bets.
Listen,
betting them damn overs.
they said
told
hey,
you not to.
Boy.
he took his own advice. Now he got to pay the price.
Ridiculous.
Yep, and you know what? That is kind of the week we've been having in football too.
It is.
I can tell you, there's lots of teams that just like that, just when they thought they got it,
They disappear.
and then a lot of it happened in the AFC North.
Man. So we just gonna process and let Paul catch up. But yeah, this week, the week is what it was. There was some decent games and things.
It was
happened.
weird though.
It was very weird. But what I'm tired of is the
Yeah, I
overreaction. The overreaction, like I'm calling this overreaction week, because the downfall from what happened, whether good or bad, was too much this week. Like the Cowboys is, the greatest team, and Dak is the best quarterback in the league, even though he's only playing the Giants. And CJ Stroud is now the MVP candidate. He had a nice game. Right. He's made a couple comebacks, and I'm not knocking him. Like
the Cleveland Browns own the AFC North division,
right? Like it's just there's a lot of just one game decided everything. The 49ers are back because they beat up on Jackson. Like I'm pump your brakes. Like that's what we're gonna talk about this week. We're gonna educate y'all on the takes, but we just need y'all to take this in stride, because nobody was going undefeated, so losses had to happen at some point. But we doing way too much when the loss happens.
Here's the thing: when two good teams with winning records play each other, somebody's going to lose.
That's the way
That's what happens when a 5-3 team plays a 6-2 team. Somebody's going to have 3 losses regardless. Somebody might have 4. But I'll say this with that, though. I still want to give, again, and I mentioned this last week, I still want to give some flowers to CJ.
Absolutely.
And to Dobbs. Listen, between CJ and Joshua Dobbs, I said last week, I was like, I don't think this is an anomaly. I like the fact that Dobbs is starting for a contending team, and he actually has the opportunity. Like, he's not looking over his shoulder like I'm just babysitting the position. Minnesota feels like in a weaker than the AFC, NFC, like we kind of have a shot to make some noise, and we have a rocket scientist at quarterback, so hey, let's do it. Like, we ain't got to worry about calling the plays all that tight, because he'll get us out and put us in the right one. And then again with CJ, like, it's weird because even though it's weird because that Houston Cincinnati game, you saw that clearly he was having some problems, but it was like he was having problems and it still wasn't enough. Like, he threw for 352?
Mm-hmm.
Like, when you're having issues, and because I think he fumbled twice, threw an interception. When you have 3 turnovers and you still beat a contender, like, you did your thing.
They have a team.
Yeah.
And like that's the one thing that I mean, you can play revisionist history with the number one pick and all of that, but Bryce Young does not have a team around him. The offensive line is for like it,
and it's hard. It makes it really hard when you don't have a team to even make an assessment.
right.
Same thing that they have been having a problem with for 2 years now with Justin Fields.
No, yeah, right.
Without a real team, a core, you don't know what to make an assessment about.
But you know, with Houston last year, at least showing fight and playing in the games and just being down. I mean, they've done that for the last 2 years, to be honest with you. They've stayed fighting. You know, that culture was just waiting on a leader. And it sounds like
2 of them.
Well, yeah,
2 the coach and the quarterback.
Yeah. And it sounds like they hit home runs on both.
And you and when you say that about the team, last year should have given people a bit of a warning that Houston was going to be that team that would emerge, because Davis Mills kept them close.
Yes.
And
he's not.
He had no business having that many starts available for him. But what else were they going to do? And clearly they were tanking, and Lovey didn't want to play fair. But the point is, Davis Mills is a serviceable backup. They were in practically every game.
And we're not talking about backup for like, hey, my starter's injured for 3 weeks. No, he's an in-game backup. Like
he is. Hey, I went out with a knee injury, and we need to put him in the tent for like a series.
Yeah, we got to get a quarter out of him. Take snaps. Yeah. But yeah, that was just, I mean, it was exceptionally cool just to see, you know, a team, regardless win or lose, like just to see, you know, teams coming together, seeing a plan, all of that, like is dope. You know, nobody cheers for the league to look terrible. Like there's some terrible teams, which is my first point that we're gonna get to, because after World War II, the Germans didn't deserve that. They didn't deserve what the Patriots and the Colts gave us.
Not the Germans, though.
Man, like outside of their national anthem being sang mad aggressive. That was the most aggressive thing about that football game, dog. Like the Colts scored on the first drive, and it just was field goals from that point. Not a lot. Well, it was a few field goals, not like a field goal. I would even take a field goal fast. Germans like kicking because they love soccer, so at least that would have been more entertaining. But no, they got a field goal in the first quarter and then 2 field goals in the fourth quarter. That middle 30 minutes of a football game was trash. Complete trash. And now we on it to Belichick. And what he's doing. Because him to bench Mac Jones for the last drive. That was like you had plenty of opportunity. It wasn't about you benching him, it was about when you benched him. Because you had plenty of time to bench him.
Petty, man.
That was weird, dog. He's doing a lot of weird things. And it reminds me of when Petrino was leaving Louisville, his last year when he was getting fired, where he was just doing stuff just because he could, like as I'm out anyway, might as well go ahead and try some stuff, like type thing, because what he's doing makes no rhyme or reason, makes no sense. Like if you just want to be gone, I'd rather you just go. Like this lingering thing and you just making irrational decisions is weird to me. But again, the Colts are finding a way to be relevant.
Yeah.
And Gardner Minshew, he got to be a starter somewhere in the next couple, like next year or something for somebody. At least
there's not 30 other guys that can lead an offense better. There might be 25.
Oh yeah.
20, but there's not 30.
Atlanta would look different if they had
Oh,
Gardner Minshew. Like, there's teams that you look at
there's
that
a
are
few
bad
teams,
that you
yeah.
can really sit here and pinpoint. Like, if they had Gardner Minshew, and it sounds crazy because he's not like world beater like Tom Brady type thing, but
If
he is
Pittsburgh
good enough.
had Gardner Minshew right now,
We're about to get to them. In fact, let's go ahead and fast forward. Now,
Mhm.
how did Pittsburgh get to where they at, dog?
because Mike Tomlin is one of the top 5 best head coaches that I've seen in my adult life in the NFL. He's right there at the top. Any list that you compile of the, and when I say my adult life, I turned 18 in 1993. So we're talking about 30 years. In the past 30 years of NFL football, you can't name me 5 better leaders that are head coaches.
They have literally been outgained by yardage in all
And it's
9
not
games.
close.
No, it's not even close.
Like they're getting blown. Like we're talking like 100 and 150 and 200 yards
Difference.
disparity. And they're like,
And they're
so
6-3. Like, and they got some very winnable games coming up with like the Cardinals and a few other teams. And it's just like, he did it again. Like, that's all I can sit here and look and just be like,
I got nothing, man.
there's no rhyme or reason why they are 6-3, but you look up and they are. Like, there's no statistical like proof or physical thing that you sit here and say, yeah, I see why they're 6-3, because they can't run block, they can't throw, they're giving up yardage like crazy.
They struggle to catch.
They struggle to catch. Quarterback can't throw the ball down the middle of the field.
And he's not particularly mobile.
People in Montana are cheering for the offensive coordinator to be fired. The quarterback's not a runner. He only completes about 50% of his passes.
Man, there's people there's people on this podcast not named Billy Craig that were advocating for them to fire Canada. Okay. So I'm just the thing about it is, and this is the one, in my opinion, great thing about it. I think I heard more people not rooting for it, but almost like, I'll be glad when this season is over so people can stop saying that Mike Tomlin's never had a losing season. We can get that out the way. And I'm like, no, we can't.
No.
No, we not. You got to wait till next year. Maybe.
And by then, they're going to definitely transform some other things. The Steelers don't make very many in-season moves to that magnitude. So they're not a panic kind of franchise. I admire that, actually.
They're the most stable franchise in the history of the NFL.
Yeah, because there's been plenty of signs for why Matt Canada should be fired. If rewind some of our episodes if you need to further
some
reference,
refreshers.
but they've decided that's what they danced with the girl they brought, and they figured it out. So it's one of those things, like, it might not be pretty, but it's working. So why
brings
change
me
it up?
to the thing that stood out to me, and we got to get to it. Ken Dorsey took one for the team,
for the whole team.
And I say that not because I think that Ken Dorsey was special or even good or any of that. Ken Dorsey didn't throw any of those. He didn't make any of those bad reads. He didn't fumble any of those. And it bothers me because, and I heard someone saying this on the radio today, and it's so true. They were like, what's bothersome about them firing Ken Dorsey is that it lends itself to this idea that I'm above accountability. Like, there's so much accountability to go wrong. And I'm not saying he doesn't deserve any responsibility. Like, if you know that this is a package, or you know that this is this series doesn't lend itself to this run fit or whatever you're going to call. My thing is, I'm sorry, but it's almost like nobody wants to just say, what's staring everybody in the face in Buffalo. And that is because that for years, remember what we heard a few years ago?
Mhm.
We got to get Josh Allen a number one receiver. We got to give him some help. I don't care about what nobody said. You're not going to tell me that Stephon Diggs is not a number one caliber receiver by any metric in any generation. He is a bona fide number one go-to. Get that man the ball. However, you got to get him the ball. Get him the ball. He has weapons. What's the tight end they got brought in? Was it Knox?
Yeah, Knox is hurt, but then they drafted
but they got
rookie.
the other one. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the point is there are weapons there, and I understand the roster is not perfect, but I'm sorry, man. We've been talking about this quite a bit. I can't keep this up. I can't keep this up with this charade with Buffalo, man. At some point, hold them responsible.
But here's the thing, and I'm going somewhere with this, so don't toot your face up when I say this, but the firing Ken Dorsey was similar to people blaming Lou Anarumo for the Bengals losing.
Absolutely.
In both cases, here's where the parallel is. Lou called the defense. The defense worked. The players did not.
That's exactly right. He put them in the exact right spot.
Ken Dorsey called plays that worked. People were open. You chose to Gabe Davis, ball goes through his hands. That's not, how is that the OC's fault? My man fumbled on the first play of the game after a 5-yard game, which is what you want out of your running game. Again, how is that the OC's fault?
Can't make this up.
Like all of these different plays, and as bad as they played, they still took the lead.
Well, I was getting ready to say, not only that, but you're playing the Broncos, and you actually held the Broncos. Like, I mean, granted, they're not world beaters, but it's not like the Broncos lit you up.
Right. No.
The Broncos are offensively challenged, and they're getting better as the season's going on. But you didn't. In other words, you didn't play the 49ers. You didn't run into the Eagles. You didn't run into the Lions or Cowboys or something. You played Denver, and you did what you were supposed to do. You kept Denver. I mean, you figure at home on Monday night, if you say the Buffalo Bills are going to hold Denver to 24, I'm like, I'll take Buffalo in the over.
Right.
Whatever the over is. Give me the over. Give me Buffalo. Because if they hold them to 24, I know they're putting up 30.
But even with 4 turnovers, they still had the lead with a minute to go. And bad defense, bad defensive calls, pass interference, 12 people on the field. None of these things, as I'm walking down this list, have anything to do with the offensive coordinator. So that's just, you're right. But you're right. But we were right before the season started.
Yep. We predicted it. We just didn't see it happening this way.
This was going down this way. And with the Buffalo Bills remaining schedule, it is very possible that they do not make the playoffs.
I predicted 9, possibly 10 wins with them out. Because I don't think 10 wins. I think there may be a possibility of 1 10-win team getting into the playoffs in the AFC.
Mm-hmm.
Not 2 or 3.
No. And they're not winning 10 games. They're not winning 5 out of their last 7 games or whatever that is. Because they got the Eagles, they got the Cowboys, they got the Chiefs. All 3 of those are very losable. They still got, they got the Jets. They already lost to the Jets once. We don't know what that's going to look like. They got New England. We don't know what that's going to look like. They put themselves in a category where they should win some of those games, but I'm not betting on it.
And that's my other one, by the way. We have to eventually have the conversation about Zach Wilson. We have to. And I don't just mean, he's terrible. He ain't Aaron Rodgers. he has too much talent to be this bad. Like, it was weird. In fact, there was a play, you remember it, because I jumped in the chat and I was like, dear God, did you see that throw?
Yeah.
Like, on the run, going across, like he was going against his own body, like running left, throwing with his right hand, and it was just like it looked like a dart, like a laser. I'm like, who's coaching this man?
Nobody. Which gets back to the Nathaniel Hackett of it all.
Yeah, Paul and I were talking about that.
It's gonna sound weird, but it is what it is. He needed a babysitter. Like, he needed an actual coach that will walk you through
a tutor, basically.
Like how this is supposed to look, what it's supposed to do, like Brian Daboll and Ken Dorsey as a package deal and what they did for Josh Allen. Like
he needed remedial courses.
Yeah, which is fine. I mean, whatever. When you're the number 2 pick in the draft, like, you got to get up to speed to what this looks like. Nathaniel Hackett, coach, damn Aaron Rodgers. Like, there's not teaching.
We don't do that. Yeah, he didn't teach nothing.
He worked on the game plan, and you go out and execute the game plan.
Yeah.
We're not talking about footwork. We're not talking about arm slots. We're not talking about defenses. We're not even talking about reading the defense.
They call it ready-made. He coaches ready-made players. He coaches pros.
But he needed to be brought up to be a pro.
Right.
And they failed him. Because that dude is super athletic and can throw the ball really, really far.
I'll tell you what's interesting, and it would never happen nor would I want it to necessarily, but I'm saying, believe it or not, a coach like because what you see like with Brock Purdy, a coach like Shanahan, a guy like even a Zach Taylor, somebody who's actually not only they coach differently in that they focus on the offensive side of the ball, but who actually played a little quarterback or has actually developed quarterbacks. In other words, what I'm saying is I don't believe that Zach will. What I saw against Las Vegas is that he's not irredeemable.
No.
He's actually, if he actually gets some different coaching, Zach Wilson could actually, have a resurgence in his career. It's just not going to happen in New York.
Yeah, because there's not very many coaches like that. Like, unless he winds up on a team with Doug Peterson or Jim Harbaugh comes out of
there you go. That's the kind
something
of
like that. Like, you need somebody who's going.
There's a handful of people. What's the guy in Minnesota?
Kevin O'Donnell. Yeah.
He.
I mean, you need people like that.
People like that.
And those people ain't everywhere. That's just unfortunately for him. And then lastly, the only other thing that catches my attention, well, there's two, but one just is real short and sweet. Every week that passes is every week closer to my man in Chargers getting fired.
Yes.
Every week that passes. Because when we were watching the game, Brandon Staley, we sat here.
On Brandon Staley, right?
When I sent that text out to y'all and I said the Lions Chargers game is actually really good. They in a shootout. And they were. It was an excellent football game. And then at the end, I was like, and of course the Chargers lose by 3. Like, that's the story. That's what they do. So there's that. And then lastly, the Ravens and Browns. Excellent football game. Tale of two halves. And the Ravens actually have a pattern now that concerns me.
Yes.
The pattern is,
I talked to you about this.
Well, it's not like the pattern.
It wasn't fully formed and ready yet, but now you're seeing it.
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
The game show.
They don't do the same thing in the second half that they do in the first half. It's one of those things like when you say, do the same things to keep your wife that you did to get her. Like, they don't do the same things to keep the lead that they did to get the lead. And it's the stupidest thing I've seen. Like it's ridiculous. And at this point, because it's happened 3 times so far this year, it definitely is becoming a trend for this. Like, is actual room to get. Now we are in a portion where we need to be concerned. The first couple of times early in the year, you're like, hey, they're figuring it out, rain, sloppy, whatever. This was a fairly normal day in November in Baltimore.
And it wasn't bad weather, it wasn't raining. It
Right,
wasn't
that's what I'm saying.
fall. It was good, solid football weather.
It wasn't anything that happened in the second half to make them go away from the initial game plan. None of that. Like, it just disappeared. So that is now, definitely
quick note on that, because somebody on ESPN, I think it was yesterday, they gave a stat. And I think this is going to make Thursday night almost incredible, but at the same time, predictably boring. They said that in the past 2 seasons, the Ravens have lost the most games in the NFL when leading in the fourth quarter by double digits.
Yes. Yeah.
I think they said like 6 times in the past 2 seasons. They've been up by 2 scores and lost. The other stat they gave was they said that I think they said the Bengals have only lost twice in 3 years when they were up at halftime by 2 scores. So if it's like, I don't know, which it won't be, but if it's like 17-7 or something like that, Bengals at halftime, I mean, we can all go to bed. But here's the thing: even if the Ravens are up 17-7, we can all go to bed.
Well, that's the thing is for the Ravens, I guess they got to keep the games close. Like, don't go by double digits. Like, let's keep it.
You can't have nice things.
14-10. Like, let's be like, all right, we comfortable. We comfortable when it.
They go in hyped up at halftime, 17-10. I'd be like, you know what? We got this in the bag. What you mean? Y'all down by 14? I'd be like, trust me on this. Trust me.
They got it.
But you're right. That trend should, and here's what I'm saying. And I'm not even talking about regular season. It should concern you because what's going to happen is all you're going to see in the playoffs are the Miamis, Kansas Cities. You'll get some Cincinnati's in there. Like all you're going to see is the good quarterbacks, where the game is never out of reach.
Well, that was the other thing that, and I know we about to move on subjects, but that was the other thing that I realized. Like, not that I played, so like I understand. Right. But like 60 minutes is a long time.
Man,
the Saints were down big and had every opportunity to come back in that football game with 2-point conversions and everything. Like, they were down by 24 points and came within a throw of coming all the way back. The Ravens game, they were up 14, come all the way back. The Cardinals and Falcons, Jesus Christ, I don't know what the Falcons are doing, but that come all the way back. Like, it's just 60 minutes is when they say you got to play until the clock strikes 0. Like, it absolutely.
They mean it. Yeah, absolutely,
absolutely true, because no lead is safe unless you San Fran playing Jacksonville, because that just got out of hand. And
let me just say this real quick. Last note on last week before we move on to this coming week.
Yeah.
And we don't have to put too fine a point on it right now, because I am convinced we're going to come back to this conversation. I don't care if the 72 Dolphins, the 85 Bears, 84 Niners, whoever, so you cannot lose 34-3 at home.
That's
even
tough.
If your home is Jacksonville and the 49ers are coming off of a bye.
Yeah, that's tough.
3 points, Trevor Lawrence with an offense and Doug Peterson the coach. Nope. Something the 49ers exposed something.
Yes. Yeah.
They found the Achilles heel.
That yeah, that was bad.
Yeah.
So well, quickly, who we giving props to for balling out this past weekend?
I already gave my two quick ones. Obviously, CJ Stroud, and then obviously Joshua Dobbs. That's kind of the low hanging fruit ones there. I'm going to, in a loss, because I happened to catch a little bit of it. I actually feel like, because it's been kind of tough sledding for him, Keenan Allen.
Yes.
He didn't just ball out. Like, what was it, 175 yards? That's insane. Like, that's especially in a losing effort. I will also say that I like what I saw in a loss. I actually like what I saw from Bijan Robinson in that same game. Welcome back, Kyler Murray. Welcome back, Steady. Like, no, for real. He
still don't look like he know the playbook, but
when
he
you
made
can
the
throw
plays.
if you can throw for 250 and don't know the plays, good for you, young man. Like, that was excellent. And then for my last one, because and he didn't play like great. It was certainly not by his former self kind of standards. But as hard as I've been on Russell Wilson this year, good for you, Russell Wilson. Like,
Absolutely.
he actually he put together, because that was not an easy game. And getting wins in the NFL is hard. So good for you. And I'll just say this. I know this was in the segment before, but shame on you, New York Giants. Not any one player. The coaching staff, the custodians,
as a record
the
label
people
and
in
as
the
a crew.
Yes. Okay, there you go. No, everybody involved with that organization, shame on you.
Yeah.
Who knew that my man, what was his name? The guy that got hurt, the backup.
Tyrod Taylor.
Who knew Tyrod? Who knew how much Tyrod Taylor could mean to a franchise?
Man, they don't even look functional. They don't look.
They look like a CFL team.
Absolutely.
Shout out to the CFL, by the way. But
yeah. But I never thought. I find this as growth. I feel like I am growing as a human to give props.
Gold star
to Brandon Cooks.
Nice.
The Cowboys finally realized he was on the damn football team and realized that he catches for 1,000 yards if you throw it to him.
Instead of going CeeDee Lamb left. CeeDee Lamb right. Hand off the ball, CeeDee Lamb right. Again, he did his thing.
9 catches for $173 and a touchdown. Like, I mean, granted, it's the Giants, but you still did it. So I'm gonna count that towards a positive note. Now you ain't got to do that against us, but I like to. The one thing that I absolutely hate is terrible football, like things that just making the game harder than it has to be. I don't care if you're playing against us or not. And you've been on the phone with me when we watch some of these games where it's like, why are they doing this? Like, it just don't make sense. And it could be to the detriment of my own team. I don't care. Like, I hate stupidity.
I don't like bad football is worse than my team losing.
Right. So, that. But also, because it doesn't show up in all the stat sheets all the time. But Garrett Wilson. Garrett, DN from the
Myles Garrett.
There's so many Garretts flying around because I was thinking Jason Garrett. I was like, no, that's
scared to say his name. You afraid if I say his name,
he might show up.
This dude frightening,
man. Like,
suddenly it's all fun and jokes and fun and games when you talking about how Joe Burrow can't do nothing against Myles Garrett. Suddenly now you seeing there ain't 3 humans that can triple team him on a regular basis to do nothing with him.
It it's sad in a way and a black eye on the Browns organization that it took
this long.
for him to get this kind of shot. Now he's been all pro and everything else, but like he's in the MVP conversation, like squarely.
I'll say this, and I hope you don't take this as blasphemy. This is, there were people, and not to go back to a bitter subject here. I've made this rant a couple times on this podcast. It makes me itch how people were so quick to pronounce Micah Parsons the next Lawrence Taylor. Because I was like, can we get some consistency? Myles Garrett is consistently dominant. He's right. He is in that conversation. I ain't saying he's there. When you start talking about the Reggie Whites, the Lawrence Taylors, those types of players where it was like Sunday after Sunday after Sunday, you have to put 2 and 3 men on them at all times because
and still hope for the best.
And you still gonna get your face broke. He's been that dominant on that and that a franchise. Like, it's special, and I hate to say it because here's the thing. He played Cincinnati gonna see him twice a year at minimum for the next 10. Good luck
until he decide he just don't want to do it no more. Until
I'm sick of slapping Joe Burrow upside the head. I want to go home and spend some time with my children.
You really are hoping that he catches like the Barry Sanders, Calvin Johnson thing where he just gets fed up with football itself because of the team. Right. Like, because other than that, he can keep doing this for as long as he wants to. Like, he is a true freak of nature.
And Cleveland can do that because remember what happened with Joe Thomas? Joe Thomas was like, I'm sick of this.
Yeah.
I'm the best offensive lineman of my generation. And I ain't never sniffed a playoff.
And I'm tapping out.
I'm out.
I got better things to do with my life.
And real quick before we move on, listen, Noah Brown. I just had to throw that in there real quick because it would have been complete and total malpractice on both of our parts to ignore what Noah Brown did. The way he had the Bengals secondary has been looking pretty decent. Like, they're coming along, they're young. They look like they kind of stabilized things after losing Bates and Hill. No, they didn't. No, they didn't, man. The way Noah Brown did them boys, it was like you knew he was coming. And it was like, there is no scheme for this. So
right.
He did his thing. So yeah.
Absolutely. So what we got coming up this week? What's your eye on the prize this week?
Thursday it's easy. Like, we can just go ahead and fire up the prime.
We got Thursday and Monday for sure. We already know that.
Yes. That right, it bookends perfectly. Those are two absolute must watch. I don't care what's going on in your world, you got to see that. So we can just go ahead and get them out the way. Beyond that, sandwich in between is kind of a light schedule as far as good matchups. We have some like teams that are good against teams that I don't think are so good. I don't see any great matchups.
There's really just one in that early slot, the Steelers-Browns game.
Steelers-Browns, yeah.
It's going to be an ugly game. So
it's good. Well, if it involves Mike Tomlin, there's going to be a weird number in there.
Yes.
So it ain't going to be 24-17. It's going to be like 18-25, like something weird.
Yeah, it's going.
I will say this. I am a little bit, just because I'm going to be bored out of my mind, because I'm either going to be, walking around peacocking with my Bengal stuff on, or I'm going to be miserable and I ain't going to want to talk about football. The only two games I see, one in the 4:00 window, and that is not because I think the game will be a good contest. I am interested to see what San Francisco looks like against Tampa, just to see if they just came out fresh because they had that bye and whatever. The 1:00 window, other than the Pittsburgh-Cleveland game, the only thing I really see that kind of piques my interest a little bit is the Vegas-Miami game.
Yeah.
Now because it's in Miami, I think Miami will handle it well. I don't think you're going to get much out of you're just not getting much out of Vegas's offense. But I am still intrigued because Miami tends to sometimes they either completely boat race a team that's beneath them or they play down in their competition. I kind of want to see which one we're going to get.
Well, I am is for this, and I agree with that game, but from a different perspective. Because now, much like Baltimore is given some telltale signs as far as a habit, Miami has also done the same.
Yes.
The blueprint is out on what you need to do in order to slow Miami down.
It's like a divisional kind of theme there because I'm seeing that out of all the teams.
Yes.
In the AFC East, where it's like, we know what to do with y'all.
And so, long story short, the key is to get Tua off his first read and make him hold the ball. That's a terrible combination when you got Max Crosby on the other end.
He's coming.
Mad Max is coming.
Yeah.
So I am looking forward to that just to see, the juxtaposition there. As well as the rest of it, to be honest with you, is Sunday's a yard work day after the Steelers Browns. Yeah, I mean, and again,
well, the one only other thing in the 4 o'clock window, I will say this: I am mildly, just kind of tepidly intrigued to see if Buffalo can bounce back against the Jets. That game is probably going to be way more competitive. And here's the thing: as soon as I say this, I'm thinking to myself, this is probably going to be the wildest, most entertaining Sunday of football.
What was it?
Ever.
It was what, 7 games, 6 games, 7 games decided last week on the last second field goal.
Last second field goal, 7 games.
So yeah, now it should.
They only played. I think they only played what 13 or 14 of them, something like that.
Right. So half of them ended on the last second game.
Half of them ended with the clock going to 0.
So that's dope. But yeah, the only other thing I got really on my radar, which for those who are new to the show, I play for University of Louisville. Louisville is playing Miami. Florida State knocked out everybody who could throw a pass for Miami, so they going in with a weaker quarterback status than they were going into the game with. But also traditionally, Louisville hadn't struggled with Miami. And so the reason I'm bringing that up, if Louisville beats Miami, Louisville plays for the ACC championship against Florida State. And I'm looking forward to that personally, just because of where the program went to and now where we are. So that is phenomenal for me and all of the Cards fans that have stuck through it. So yeah, and they
deserve it. Like, just straight up, like Louisville, they've gone through some transition the past few years. Like, they deserve it.
And our fans still show up. Like our fans are amazing. Like I don't want anybody to ever think that that's not the truth. Like, because we travel, we do all the things that big.
Because I think Maryland is not a pushover for Michigan. Michigan should win it handily, but they did not, to the naked eye, it may seem like it was fun. They did not look good against Penn State.
They did,
what-
but that was kind of expected, though. I mean, that's just
and that's what I'm saying. I'm interested to see without Harbaugh on the sideline if that is any indication of what they're going to look like to finish out the season, because they won because they just had the bodies to win.
something. And I'm not disagreeing. I just think there's something that's still dope about the fact that you didn't throw a pass in the second half, though.
Yeah, but
I mean, I just because one day we're gonna have to revisit this whole James Franklin thing. When a team is ranked and he got to play him, shit
That
ain't
man-
sweet. Like it just ain't sweet. Like it
No.
for the money he
at
getting.
all.
You
know what it is? It's like what they used to complain about with Dak. He's getting paid elite level head coach college football money to not give you elite level results.
Yes.
He's giving you good results. He's giving you
absolutely solid. We're going to the Outback Bowl, nice stories.
We're gonna make money on this bowl,
but it ain't not for they've paid him to bring in a national championship. And
Ole Miss disappointed me last week. That's another one. But there's really a bunch of
but again,
there's nothing competitive in
this. We talking about Lane Kiffin. And it's ironic that you brought it up because Lane Kiffin and James Franklin are the same person. They that Spider-Man meme pointing back at each other.
Yep. I was gonna say Lane Kiffin is Bizarre World. James Franklin, like y'all the same dude. Y'all got the same superpowers, man.
But hey.
So I don't really see anything there. Like I said, Georgia versus Tennessee, they're two ranked opponents. I don't see Georgia having a problem going into Knoxville. I know in the Pac-12, I mean, it's
Oregon State and Washington.
The Utah Arizona will be competitive, even though it won't matter in the grand scheme of things for the playoff. The Oregon State Washington will, though. I think that's going to probably go down to the wire. Oregon State's not just ranked 11. Oregon State is good.
They're physical too. They're offensive line.
Yeah, they're violent. Yeah,
their offensive line is super violent. Yeah,
they hurt people. Yeah, that's what I mean. They're not just big, strong. No, they hurt people. So that'll be interesting. Other than that, like I said, this is a good weekend to go ahead before that weather officially breaks.
Yeah,
and get some work done. Just listen to it in your headset.
Get you rake the leaves, get all that stuff. Whatever's on the honeydew list, go ahead and knock that out because it ain't a lot it ain't a lot popping this weekend. But
take your shopping, take the woman shopping, take as long as you need, baby. And I'm gonna keep my earbud in on the left hand side and just had a stream going. They'll text you if it gets hot. You're
definitely a week you can play with your kids. Like get some quality time in. So give me one or two bets. We doing great on time. So let's go ahead. When Paul ain't jumping in with foolishness, we knock this out where he pull up the whole Pac-12 and talk about him.
Because he's the only one awake. Because the other 80% of the population lives on the east or central time zones.
So give me a couple bets. What you got?
So here's the thing. NFL, what I will say, there's a few of them that even though they're not going to be particularly entertaining, you got to take them. And that is take the this is just my personal opinion. I think you take the Vikings on Sunday night.
Oh, yeah, that's a tough one. Denver's favored by 2.5. Like that's
But here's why. Basically what they're saying is we trust Russell Wilson in prime time over Josh Dobbs. I could not agree any less. And it's not because of Russell Wilson, it's because I think Josh Dobbs, people just don't respect black men who are rocket scientists, man. Hey. Like that man been in the offense for a couple weeks now. Like he done drawn up some plays of his own. Trust me. And he's an athlete.
No,
like that man can run.
Yeah.
And he can sling it. So take the Vikings. That would be my first one. The second one is even if it's just on the money line, take Washington over the Giants. Matter of fact, I'm gonna save you some money, or rather, I'm gonna earn you some money. Take whoever's playing the Giants for the rest of the season.
That's pretty solid.
I don't care. I don't care if they're playing University of Tennessee Chattanooga. Take them. Okay, take them over the Giants. It don't matter who they're playing. And then the last one is because again, these are just some easy picks. Detroit at home, Chicago coming in, 1:00 standard game, nothing weird, no weather is predicted to be funny. It wouldn't matter anyway because they're in Detroit. Take the Lions. And then there's one over I like, believe it or not. I like the over with San Francisco and Tampa coming in because I think that Tampa is going to score more than Jacksonville. They're going to score more than 3 points. And it might not matter because the 49ers are probably going to drop 50 on them. So,
yeah, the over under on that one's 41.5. So yeah. So I'll be real short and sweet. This would be a weekend that you can go ahead and save your coins for the most part. Well, because there's not a viable parlay. Yeah, building you out a parlay ain't gonna pay you much of anything for this one. Shout out to my man who won $5.5 million off the Houston Bengals game. It ain't much looking like that. The only one that is at least worth betting in my eyes right now, other than the ones that Billy said, those are about, yeah. The only other one that I can see is if Study Hall can pull off some more magic. If you're trying to just make your parlay pop a little bit, is the Cardinals are getting 4. And it's very possible, the Houston might
Kyler Murray is still Kyler Murray now.
Yeah.
Like he is hard to defend.
Yes. And this will be, y'all can do with that information what you will. But that one is the only one that jumps out to make your parlay pop. Mm-hmm. And then if you look at college, I was going to say this. The only other one to kind of, look at on the board there. Let me get these scores. My bad.
You mean the spreads?
Yeah. The only other one that kind of look at, like I told y'all, Miami doesn't have a quarterback, so you can take Louisville to cover. Because it's only Louisville favored by 1. That is absolutely insane to me when Miami doesn't have a quarterback.
That is downright offensive.
That actually, I am a lightweight offended by that. We are favored by 1 against a team that doesn't have a quarterback. I repeat, they don't. Like the one dove for a ball to get a first down.
They did tryouts on campus.
Absolutely. They are down to their third string quarterback who I think completed 2 of 15 passes or something like that. You can go ahead because a 1 point spread is going to pay out pretty decent for what should be a guarantee. There as well as I'll be interested in college. I'll be interested in the this one could be interesting. Even though I can see it going now, I may stay away from this one. Clemson's given up 6.5 against North Carolina.
Leave that one alone.
Yeah, put that in your pocket. Don't even
save your money. I'll tell you which one you should take though.
What's that?
Notre Dame inviting Wake Forest in. Give me Notre Dame. I know Wake Forest is scrappy, but at some point athletes have to athlete. Like at some point, you know what I'm saying? Like at some point, bodies matter.
It does. And that's what I was just about to say.
Dame,
this matters.
And Notre Dame, even though they, in my opinion, have maybe slightly underachieved this year, they still got some dogs.
They still got some dogs. I don't know if they've underachieved. Like, I get what you're saying.
Maybe as far as not underachieved.
I think they're right on the cusp of where they were. They've lost a couple of games or at least one game that they should have won. There, especially because the Ohio State game really changed the fortune of the season.
Exposed a lot.
Yeah. So because if they would have beaten Ohio State, if they would just had 11 people on the field, let's start there. The season itself looks entirely different. Even if they have the same other losses there, a win against Ohio State, you that absolutely elevates your program for recruiting because people see the vision there. So that's overall that's what we got.
I got two more real quick.
Okay.
Just real easy. UCLA at USC. This is my bold pick. Take UCLA. That's one. And then the last one is Iowa is inviting Illinois in. If you can get that one, take it. Take the under if they'll let you have it.
It's 30.5. Like, they have zero faith. They just gonna keep marking it down where Iowa they're gonna make over under 17.
Iowa lives in the bargain section at Ollie's, okay? Where it's like, listen, we really just want you to take it. You can what you got? What you got in your pocket?
We'll take it all. We'll take
how many points you get? You got 8 points. We'll take that.
Man.
But that's a testament to their defense, though. Because them jokers is ranked, like 18 in the country?
16. They 16.
They ranked 16 and can't score a point.
And this is not an exaggeration. They cannot score. They win in games 10-3, like on the regular. Like, this ain't just one time thing. Like, they regularly.
At some point we got to talk about Kirk Ferentz, though, because it's like, how can your defense be that lethal in the Big Ten, mind you? And you can't find nobody to score no points.
15-6, 12-10, 10-7, and 22-0. Like, if you're looking at just over unders, they haven't accomplished 30 as an over under in.
That's what I'm saying. Whatever it is, I don't need to see it. Take the under until let you have it. So,
man,
they just dominate people, and they're like. I mean, for real, you could put you could have made it to 25. I'd be like, take it.
Yeah.
That game got 15-7 written all over
it. And that's in double overtime.
Exactly. Because they had to go for 2. Oh my God.
Hut.
All right, well, that's a wrap. Thanks again for joining us on our weekly wrap-up show. Here we are at week 11 in NFL, so let's have some fun this week. Be responsible, as always, out there. And with that, remember that absolutely none of our comments regarding gambling are to be considered advice for you to follow. And if you have a gambling problem, please seek help. There are many outlets out there for you to get it from. However, we are not the place.
None of them are the Gray Matters.
And if you need a camera, don't ask Paul, because we don't know what's going on. Clearly, he's having technical difficulties. Hopefully this week he will come out of the blue tent, and we will find out exactly what it is, and he will be back with us next week.
Absolutely.
Better than ever. But until then, like I said, have a great weekend. Have a lot of fun this weekend. Enjoy yourself with all the games coming up. And again, be safe. Peace.
Hey.